Hey, it's one of my red blanket videos. I seem to do these at night when I can't sleep. This appears to be my favorite pistol I own, my Colt Commander. I've had this gun for about 18 years. It's great. What are those? Oh, those are Wilson Combat 8-round magazines. The only ones I use. Oh, this is a new style Wilson too, with a big pullable base. I like this mag even better than those ones. Wilson makes great stuff. Now, this gun's unloaded. I checked it just before this video because it's really not easy doing this with one hand. But this big iPhone is pretty awesome. Excuse me. So I've excuse me again. I've had this gun for 18 years. I got it actually when I decided to, one night I drag raced the guy on my 1998 Ninja 900 ZX9R. The next day, a dude who watched it came and asked me to buy my motorcycle. And I was like, no, I really don't want to sell it. And he said, listen, man, I'll take over your payments and I'll give you a gun as well if you want. So I went to his house, looked at the guns he had, and he had a stock Colt Commander sitting there. So I said, I'll take that and you can take over my payments. And I became the owner of this nice Colt Commander, which was a pretty good deal because I was going to kill myself on that bike. So anyway, over the years, I've spent a lot of money. I've done this gun in a couple different ways. But this is the way it is right now, and I really like how it is. The only thing I might change is these standard grip screws. I might get rid of those at some point. But so this thing, the only stock parts on it anymore are the frame. This slide is a stock Colt piece, but it's been modified, and the barrel. Actually, the plunger is a stock Colt piece. I think that's what you call this guy, the spring retention plunger or whatever. The spring, the recoil spring, is still Colt. I believe it has the original mainspring in it. We'll get into that in a bit. But all the work on this gun I've done myself, with the exception of cutting in the dovetail for this Heine rear sight, and obviously that I don't know what you call that anti-reflection rib down the top, which I think is really cool. It's freaking badass. I did this, which I'm really proud of actually, if you can't tell by the sound of my voice. I flared that with first a Dremel tool, and then I used a wooden dowel wrapped in sandpaper and worked that. I also melted the gun, the slide edges and stuff to make it more ergonomic. I beveled off this lower edge here too, because actually the edge of the slide serration is very sharp. It cut my hand a couple times when I was using it, like cocking it, and I slipped off and it cut me. If I can get a good light on it, I don't know if you can see a good shot. Maybe right there. I took that 90-degree edge off back here by the serrations. And that was actually a really good modification for me, actually. So I'm getting kind of close there on you. I actually refinished the frame on this and the slide, but when I sent it away and the guy cut that top, he refinished the slide as well and the barrel for me. The finish isn't perfect on it. I'm kind of rambling around through this stuff because there's so much stuff done to it. I'm just going to have to hit it, you know. The finish didn't come out perfect here in the Parkerization. I'm not sure why, but it's not terrible. That's like the only spot that kind of didn't come out good by the home Parkerization kit I used. Anyway, let's go through some of the parts I have in this gun. The trigger, I don't remember, but it's a target trigger. The slide or the mag release is stock. Actually, I like that stock. It's nice and low profile. These are VZ frag grips with thumb cutout. This is maybe Smith & Alexander or Wilson Combat, as well as the slide release. This same thing, Smith & Alexander, I think. Maybe Ed Brown. This might be Ed Brown. Actually, this might be Ed Brown too. They're all high-end parts in this gun. The hammer and the sear and everything is cylinder and slide equipment. It has an aftermarket firing pin retaining plate, which was oversized when I fit in here. It's actually it doesn't have the bevel on the bottom of it, which it's hard to explain this trying to go faster video, but John Browning designed this with a 90-degree bottom, basically just the kind of a little curve, the plate anyway, because that's what cocks your hammer. Because he wanted to use a light recoil spring and a heavy mainspring, and the slide action when the gun fires actually is delayed a little bit with a 90-degree firing retaining plate, and it makes it harder to mechanically cock the hammer with when the slide comes back. So basically, the slide action would be delayed by the harder cocking of the hammer. Then when it returns to put a new round of battery, this lighter recoil spring would allow the slide to come back a little bit slower, not when it comes back in the battery, not tip your gun down, bam, when the slide comes home, you know what I mean? So it gave you smoother follow-ups. So I went with the stock John Browning design spring setup, and the stock, he changed this to a 45-degree angle on the bottom of the retaining plate to cock this, because the GIs in World War I on horseback found it really hard to operate it. It was, I guess they didn't like, I guess, being on horseback and having a stiffer slide rack action, so it made it easier when he beveled it off. So, but he didn't actually design it that way. This magwell, I think, is one-piece Smith & Alexander mainspring housing magwell, which is really nice. When I redid this gun, I did some melting around here with sandpaper and stuff to make it a little smoother on my finger. I melted the edges and everything where the beaver tail fits. Just put it in there and get it in place, and just work anything that sticks out with sandpaper and smooth it off, you know. And I'm really happy with the results. I took a lot of time and just worked on the gun and made it fit really well. Let's look at this light's better over this way. That's a Wilson Combat custom barrel bushing, which I had to fit with another dowel and sandpaper job. That was a pain in the ass. And at the same time, you have to keep fitting it and making sure your barrel comes up and fits into your 2 or 3 lock grooves in the slide without putting extra stress on the barrel and bending it. You have to keep fitting it and changing your relief angles in the bushing. And once you do, though, man, this gun shoots like a dream. I also this is a mixed set of sights on this gun. It's an XS big dot up front and the Heine straight 8 rear, right? And when you're actually looking with your eye, the big dot actually fills the square almost perfectly. It does have a little bit of a tombstone crown above the slot, which I wanted it a front end or front sight that would match this Heine. But when the dude in Albuquerque cut this, he didn't replace the sight for me like I told him to, so I ended up getting it back. But whatever, it still works well. And actually, it's a decent combo. But this is an interesting note on this gun, actually. When I reparkerized all these parts, okay, this thumb safety came out this World War II green color. And a ton of people on the internet try to get this finish color. And they say, what do you use? Do you finish it with something different? What do you use to get that green? Well, I'm here to tell you that I put it in the Parkerization bath with a bunch of other parts. The other parts came out black, and this came out, this World War II green. So it's definitely the base metal. Whatever the base metal is made of affects the final lay and finish and color of the Parkerization. So I'm not a metallurgist. I mean, I can weld and shit, but that's beyond my knowledge. But that part came out in the same batch as some of these other parts. So the frame actually was in the same bath as this. So actually, because I think I had this refinished by the dude who did the slide, and maybe that too. I can't remember. But anyhow, yeah, really good gun. I wish I had a stand for my camera to rack this for you, because I took a really small, smooth sharpening stone and oiled it and worked a couple spots in the rails and by the ejector. I didn't really take any metal, just cut off any high spots, and man, this thing cycles so smoothly. It's wonderful. It's great. What else? Oh, I did. This is actually a Series 70 instead of Series 80. I did the Series 70 replacement of the plunger and stuff in there too. Which honestly, I didn't really see much difference in the trigger pull, but it's good trigger pull, decent. I cut that just off the stock slide stop. I cut that smooth so as to not be able to push it out while you're holding it. Yeah, so this is my 1911. Very accurate gun. When this was in stock configuration, I was able to outshoot my brother-in-law at the time, who just got out of the State Trooper Academy, shooting best of his class. I was able to outshoot him pretty handily with this gun. I know I hit a bowling pin at 80 yards with this within 3 shots. He and his Glock never could hit it. So I don't know if that's just him or me, but I know this thing was super accurate. So, fan of the Colt 1911. Put that aside. This is an awesome piece of leather right here. It's Milt Sparks. It's a badass thing. It's super, super retentive. It's actually kind of too hard, almost. You gotta break it in. I carry the gun in this sometimes. In this, I don't really care for this that much. This is a Ross piece, Ross gun leather. I use it sometimes. It doesn't really retain as much as I'd like. Sometimes if you squat down, you can actually push the gun up a little bit. I don't like that. I don't want to lose the gun out and have this bash off the pavement somewhere. This though, I like this quite a bit. White hat holsters, max tuck. I use this holster a lot. As you can tell, it's pretty well worn. It's a horsehide model. I changed this over with my Smith & Wesson J-frame Kydex on here and use the same holster for 2 guns. I like these guys a lot. It's a great product. Definitely molds to your body. The horsehide is also sweat proof, where the cowhide isn't. The horsehide won't let the sweat leach through and get to your firearm. But that's what I use to carry this inside the waistband. So there you have my Colt 1911. This video is a little bit longer, but have a nice night, guys.